Hi, I'm Chelsea from Binge and Breakthrough. In this video, I'm going to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and what that has to do with eating. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's just one of the many theories in psychology, but it's one that I found to be quite useful when starting to look at the different sort of dynamics that affect eating. Of course, it's only one way to look at it, it's just one perspective, but it's something that I found kind of interesting to see how it relates to my behaviors around eating food. So what is Maslow's hierarchy of needs? This is basically a pyramid model where Abraham Maslow, back in like the 30s or 40s, came up with this psychological model that basically talks about what drives our human behavior. So, on the base level of the pyramid, we have kind of our base primal needs like shelter, food, water, sleep, right? And then the next levels up, we get a little more developed and we're looking for connection or intimacy. And as we move up, we're looking for being able to contribute, being able to reach goals, to be able to be successful. And as we move on up the pyramid, we get into more advanced sort of levels of needs, all the way up to the top level, which he calls self-actualization. So you're wanting to develop yourself and grow further and be a contribution and do something great for the world, right? And that's kind of like a very high level need compared to a very base level need like eating or sleeping or shelter. And so his premise is that the base level needs, while they're the most sort of primal, obviously, they're also the base and most important needs. And if those needs aren't being met, you aren't going to be able to focus on your top needs like self-actualization. If you're not able to eat, sleep, get food, or have shelter, you're definitely not going to be thinking about trying to, grow or be successful or actualize yourself. You're just going to be focusing on trying to get what you need at the very basic level. And so one of the things that has helped me whenever I'm trying to figure out like why the heck I eat the way I do or why my behaviors, are either compulsive or I can't seem to break a habit is to look at what needs may not be being met in my life. So obviously it's a little bit deeper than just a need for food, right? Because if I'm binge eating or you're sitting at home and you're finding yourself overeating or binge eating, right? If we're in that experience, that's probably not related to a primal need of hunger, right? Because we're overeating. We're going over the top way beyond the physical needs, right? So what's causing that, especially when we're smart enough to know that we don't actually want to be, overeating all the time? Of course it happens on occasions, but when it becomes a habit, we know that we don't want to be doing that habit, right? But yet we continue to do it. So it becomes really frustrating and then we beat ourselves up and then we wonder like why can't I just stop doing this or why am I so weak around chocolate or whatever the case may be, right? And so what I started looking at was the other needs that higher up on the pyramid may not be being met in my life that were driving me to turn to food as a kind of a reaction or response or a way to maybe, you know, um, not think about those needs. For instance, if my need for connection or intimacy wasn't being met in my life, for instance, if I'm lonely, like when I was going through some periods when I was single, working really hard, building my business, but yet would come home to an empty house, I wasn't even addressing the fact that I was lonely. I actually wasn't even aware that I was lonely. I was just really in the depths of my eating disorder at that point, overeating every night, going through all sorts of my habits, right? And I wasn't actually seeing that maybe one of my needs, like my need for connection and intimacy, wasn't being met. And that could have been fueling my drive to use food as a comfort or as a way to feel better, as a way to feel like I had, was being taken care of or nourished in other ways besides just physical, right? So I noticed that as I started to look at these other needs and how to fulfill these other needs on the pyramid, it started to affect my way of eating. And I started to not feel as driven to go eat a bag of sugar-free candy every night or a huge bowl of whipped topping and chocolate pudding or whatever my current binge food happened to be at the time. The more I started to address these other needs, kind of the less I was like interested in repeating my habit on a daily basis, right? It was something that had so consumed so much of my life and had just become an everyday thing every night for in my case that it was shocking to me that suddenly I wasn't quite as interested. I just kind of like just wasn't interested in doing it. It sort of just naturally started to fade away a little bit when I started addressing these other needs in the pyramid in my whole well-being, right? So I say all this just to invite you to look at. First of all, go check out Abraham Maslow's model. You can just Google it. You can find it on the internet. You can find it on my blog, whatever. And look at the different needs. And see, there's like 9 total now. I think in the 70s it got revised. So there's like 9 total needs. look through those and see if all of your needs are being met. Like one of the needs is like the need for beauty or aesthetics, right? Like that's a need that's clearly not a primal need, but it's still a need that's important in one's life, right? And I invite you to play an exercise or to have fun with a little exercise. And for the next 8 days, 8 or 9 days, take each one of those needs, each one of those levels, and focus on addressing that need in your life. So, for instance, if you take the need for beauty and aesthetics, and you take a day just to think about, well, what are my needs for beauty and aesthetics? Maybe for you, you would like a clean house, you would like a clean, organized kitchen, you would like order in your life, and you would like it to be beautiful. Or maybe you'd like, some fresh flowers on your kitchen table, or something that makes you feel like there's beauty in your life. Or maybe it's a brand new necklace or a new pair of shoes, or you just go get a manicure, or maybe it's you go for a walk in the woods. Whatever it is that would make you feel like your need for aesthetics and beauty is being addressed, either with yourself or in your life or your surroundings, focus on that need for a day and see what you can do to kind of fulfill that need and get that need met. And after the series of 8 days of meeting these different needs on all these different levels, just check and see if you're still as wrapped up and interested in eating and responding to food in the same way now that your needs are getting met on all these different levels. I'd be curious to know, and I'd love to hear from you if this is something that's fascinating to you. If you try this experiment out, shoot me a note. Go to bingeeatingbreakthrough.com and there's a contact link at the bottom. Shoot me a note or send me an email and let me know what it's like for you if you play with this experiment and start focusing on addressing your different needs in the pyramid and see if that affects your behavior in any way. It's kind of a way to go around the barn to address a behavior or a habitual reaction without actually, like, it's like, what's the words I'm trying to say? Like, you can stop eating. Of course, it's easy to say, oh, well, I just shouldn't overeat. But it's like, yeah, but how much does that work? If you tell yourself you shouldn't overeat, it's like you still do it, right? Where this addressing of different needs is like going around the barn to affect the behavior in a way that takes a different perspective and a different nuance that can actually be the trigger that starts to help you unravel the habit that you want to change. So I look forward to hearing from you. Let me know how it goes. And check out my website at bingeeatingbreakthrough.com for a free video course to help you overcome binge eating. Thank you.